If your king is in a position where it could be captured on your opponent's next move, it is said that your king is in check. Check. Here the white queen threatens to capture the black king, so black is in check. If your king is in check, you must remove the threat on the very next move. There are 3 ways to remove a threat from your king. The first way is to move your king to a square that is not under attack by your opponent. The second way is to capture the piece that is threatening your king. The third way is to block the threatening piece by moving one of your other pieces into its path so it can no longer take the king. If there is no way to bring your king to safety, that is, you can't move it away, capture the threatening piece, or block the threatening piece, then your king has been checkmated, and you have lost the game. In this setup, there is no way for black to save its king. Checkmate. The king is never actually captured in chess. When one of the kings is checkmated, the game is over. The object of chess is to checkmate your opponent while avoiding checkmate yourself. By the way, you may not ever move your king into check. In other words, you cannot move your king into a position where your opponent could capture it. For example, this white king cannot move to e2, d2, or f2. All of those moves would let black's rook capture the white king immediately, so they're not allowed. Here's a very simple example of a checkmate known as the fool's mate. Pay attention to the moves. You don't want to have your opponent perform a fool's mate on you. Checkmate. Black to move. Play the move which stops check.
You'll see here that the king is in check from the queen, so you will need to put the bishop in its path by moving it diagonally to stop the check.
Correct. White to move. Put your opponent into check.
The check, or the king, is up here on a square called G8. So you need to put a piece in a place that will attack the king. And the piece that can do that is the rook. So by moving the rook all the way up to the top,
that's correct.
You check the king.
White to move. Play the move which stops check.
So right here, the white king is in check, so the king needs to move out of the way.
That's right. White to move. Put your opponent into check.
So here's the king right here, and you want to find a move where you can attack your king, or attack the opponent's king. In the move, there's actually 2 ways to do it. One way to do it is to put it here, because that would attack the king. The problem is that there is a rook at the top that would just recapture the queen. So the other way to do it is by moving the queen here to h6.
That's right. White to move. Play the move which stops check.
So here, the black rook could take the king on the next move. So there's 2 ways to do it. Either the king could move out of the way, or the bishop could move in front of the king.
That's correct. Black to move. Put your opponent into check.
So look here for the king. The king is right here. And there actually is a piece that can put the king in check, and that is the queen. By moving the queen diagonally to where the pawn is,
that's correct.
The king is in check.
White to move. Play the move which stops check.
Right here, the king is in check by the knight. The king can't move to the G1 square because the bishop is protecting it. So the king has to move to H2.
You got it right. Black to move. Put your opponent into check.
So this time it's black's move. And you can see right here that the king is on B2. There's different ways to put the king in check, but you have to be careful not to lose a piece. Black could put the king in check by moving to D2, but there's a pawn on F2 which would just take the rook. So that's not a good way to do it. Black could also take the knight and put it on C4 for check, But that's not a good move because the bishop on b3 could take it. So the best move for black is to move the knight to d3.
That's right. Black to move. Play the move which stops check.
There's a couple of ways to do this, but one way is a lot... Oh, actually, it looks like there's only one way to do it. I thought I was moving up. Usually in these games, black moves down, so black would have to move
Correct.
here.
White to move. Put your opponent into check.
So, the black king is right here. You can't do it with the rook, because if you put the rook here on c6, then the pawn on b7 would capture it. So this needs to be a pawn move.
Correct. White to move. Play the move which stops check.
So right here, the queen is checking the white king. It's a pretty easy way to do it. Just take the rook, move it down.
That's correct. Black to move. Put your opponent into check.
So it's black's move. Here is the white king. The queen can't move to this square, or else it would be captured by the white queen. Queen can't move to this square, or else it'll be captured by the rook. So the queen has to move here to b7.
That's right.